Hello again. You made it to the end of day 2. That has to feel pretty good, so congratulations on that. I wanted to just review the day with you briefly and make sure that everything was making sense. In particular, I wanted to point out this preparation for the coming days section because I'm asking you to do more than just look ahead at the next day's activities and prepare for the next day as soon as possible, which is still something you should do. But I wanted to really emphasize the fact that I'd like for you to take a look at the Wolk and Kreitz book, Business Planning for Enduring Social Impact, which if you simply click on this link, it will come up, and voila, there you have it. It is the whole book. I have the hard copy of this, which I find quite nice, but you can look at it this way. And literally looking around, you'll see the table of contents. Looking at what the different sections are, it's a very straightforward book. It's relatively short. Look at this. I mean, it's, max 70 pages with the appendices and everything. But what it does is it provides a really nice introduction to business planning. Business planning specifically for social entrepreneurship, or in our case, educational entrepreneurship. And I wanted to mention again, and I mentioned this in my video at the end of yesterday's class, that we're combining the social and the business entrepreneurship elements together to some degree. It doesn't mean that anything that you're doing is profit-seeking, but it does mean that we are thinking about things sort of from that approach. Not that there's profit involved, but that there's some sort of impact that we hopefully can measure. And the hard part is articulating what exactly it is that we're measuring when we're talking about social or educational impact, because it is not always as easy as a bottom line. So think about these different sections of a business plan for social impact. You're going to actually be using some of the information in here as a template, and in fact, I will scroll down and hopefully be able to quickly find, hope you're not getting dizzy, quickly find the outline that you'll be using, here we go, that you'll be using to actually develop your own business plan. This should look very familiar to you in a little while. Outline of a business plan for enduring social impact is exactly the outline that you're going to be using for your plan, your strategic plan for your innovative or entrepreneurial educational idea. And you'll see that I've changed some of the wording so that it talks about education rather than social impact, but this is the same model that you'll be using. So if you take a look at this book, I think you'll find it very helpful. Okay, do that. Next, I would like for you to obviously answer, and maybe you've already done this, answer these questions or think about how you might answer these questions as prompts for you for the discussion board. I'm not going to be prompting you in the discussion board every day. In fact, you'll see that these questions disappear in future days. So I'm giving you some ideas about what you can talk about early on, but it's certainly not a requirement that you answer these questions. These are the kinds of questions I'd like for you to answer. And if you do answer these questions, I think it would be very profitable, very interesting, very appropriate, very good. So do definitely use them if you feel that they're helpful. I'm very interested in, quite frankly, this one. How does the video about water and sanitation for children in Bangladesh help us understand more about the ways that education can be used for social change? Because it does something more than just measure educational achievement. Now, I know that a lot of you are already thinking about your ideas, and they have a student achievement or student learning component, which is fantastic. There's nothing that I would ever say about that other than positive things. But I do want you to think very carefully about how you can use education, or how education might be a platform or a framework or a venue for making social change, for making change in the economy, for making change in political awareness or political involvement, for doing things that aren't just based on, quite frankly, school typical knowledge and skills. Right? So keep that in mind as you move forward. continue to be just as challenging and as critical of the idea of social entrepreneurship and educational entrepreneurship as you can. Some of you have already started doing that by noting that there are still issues of inequality that arise. Absolutely. I think one of our goals with this course and with anything where we're thinking about social and educational entrepreneurship is to understand ways that we can mitigate some of those inequalities, or perhaps reduce some of the gaps between whatever is causing the inequality. But at the same time, recognizing that inequalities often persist. And so our job may be to address those inequalities, but also not to get stopped by them. In other words, not to let the fact that we cannot create a perfect utopian society with, one idea. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that get in the way of you progressing with your idea. All right? And think about how you can bring your idea about social change and perhaps equity or equality together with the ideas about moving forward and creating change, even if that change is not the perfect or the end solution. Okay, those are my ideas. I hope that you are having a great time so far, that you are moving through the course day by day, top to bottom, and I'll see you again tomorrow.